Ask a Garveyite and the NOI2. How come you don't know about truth? Ask your teacher, Master Masons, or your seafood. How come you don't know about truth? Go ask your reverend, ask your fam or crew. How come you don't know about truth? Ask the warlocks of rap, sipping evil witches brew. How come you don't know about truth? Elijah Pule is the Moorish national. Elijah Muhammad is the straw man shadow. New York after Malachi is owned by the British. Sadak El is on the bureau waiting for the idiots. Master of gods is Nuwapian's birthright. Teach from Nuwapian Morse paper they want to fight. Circle 7 is the universal flag. I rep that. And Clarence 13X is my dad. Ali came first to save the mindless masses. Went from Moorish conventions to conscious classes. Went from feathers to koofies to baseball hats. Went from Rasta to Moorish. Replace our sash. Replace the RBG banner with a Moroccan flag. Replace Ross with cheap. Blacks get toe tag. Till I see Triple Crown is a fez with no tassel. Showing temple cards as ID with no hassle. Ask the Garveyite and the NOI2. How come you don't know about truth? Ask your teacher, Master Masons, or your seafood. How come you don't know about truth? Go ask your reverend, ask your fam or crew. How come you don't know about truth? Ask the warlocks of rap, sipping evil witches brew. How come you don't know about truth? Illuminate rap and Masons, rhyming Moorish science, hip-hop renaissance, reverse Earth's global climate. Out the dark ages, many pages get burned without the chance to flip me red or turn. No learning, blacks enslaved by the vermin. The Moors victim to Inquisition is purging. The government violating the covenant of contract. Hip-hop general, iron sheet, no squad, the bomb track. Moors branded like Louisville Slugger Bass, with a name not theirs, void ab initio contract. Most don't get it, cause they don't study the law, but they come from the galaxy behind the furthest star. To fight legal battles, they hire the bar. Who obtains lead cause you abandoned your rights thus far. Told you on Iron Sheet 2, no need to represent. Just study the prophet and what he presents. Most don't stand for what he defends. Most elders over their mouth, they need depends. Higher self ascends, lower he descends. Conscious without a nation means he pretends. She pretends, which means we pretend. Pick up abandoned birthrights and the healing begins. Build on pillars strong like 7 North-alleged twins. Iron Sheik 100%, most are partly skim. Ask the Garveyite and the NOI2. How come you don't know about truth? Ask your teacher, Master Masons, or your seafood. How come you don't know about truth? Go ask your reverend, ask your fam or crew. How come you don't know about truth? Ask the warlocks of rap, sipping evil witches brew. How come you don't know about truth? Invasion. Watch for democracies, hypocrisy, philosophies, fear and shock factories, pseudo-power mockeries and poppy fields, blocking swinging chops without Moroccan shields, industry divine floors, versus smoking stocking wheels, coffin fields empty, buried in the battlefield, working on the streets is walking in some cattle fields. King Alfred Bluesum, lover mental snoozing, sleepwalking and talking, cell phones are soothing. Minds disappearing, genetic memory erasing. Don't even have a job, but they get you for tax evasion. Hot like a frying pan, crying fam, lion men. News gadgets, firemen, no loyalty, just buying friends. No credit, debt slaves, walking over paved graves. Enslaved, enraged, marriage to death, prearranged. Mike Sufi Genie, bomb tracks bikini. Stupid niggas call my first bucket hat when they see me, but won't ask a thing or drink the water that I bring. But when the Pope comes, they're kissing on his ring. They rather drink a rapper's flow from the black fountain. Pipe Piper got the dead, lined up in the thousands. Confusion with illusions, infusion with sorcery. Won't give up my birthright no matter what they offer me. No deal. Push the red button, I'm going home. Close my eyes, we SNL in Vendome. The fire that we put on roll, make them all shake. Islamism grand chic, not spelled like shake. Open minds, not scarred on when you enter my zone. I wouldn't call it murder when I snap the neck of my clone, trying to escape with the Moorish temple charter. See this face the harder, no making me a martyr. Sir, I enlarge her. Aura is my armor. When I plant a seed in man's soil, rhyme farmer. Use the alma rap sort of like an almanac. Keep listening to sleepless hip-hop insomniac. Moorish MC, call me that acquiesce, don't call back, just fall back. Any rapper after 95, all whack. Their flow just trickles like drops on icicles. Rappers need training wheels on their rhyme-sicles. Keep people's mind pickled in a lost realm. When it comes to Moorish MCs, I'm at the helm. Invasion. Trying to escape with the Moorish temple charter. Repeat the space with harder. You know, making me a martyr. You can learn art and larger. Aura is my armor. Aura is my armor. Invasion. Trying to escape with the Moorish temple charter. Repeat the space with harder. You know, making me a martyr. You can learn art and larger. Aura is my armor. Aura is my armor. Aura is my armor. Invasion.
Right now, everybody trying to rap the same style with the, I don't know who created it, if it was Future or Migos, but all them niggas sound the same.
I love thinking this shit out of these niggas gon' bite on my swag as a virus. Oh,
Such a Medusa head on me like I'm Illuminati. What's up, and honest, and shoot us and move.
you been in the game like a year, some training, you feeling yourself, so I'm killing these niggas like I don't know what I would do without a crew look like we robbed the bank, but all we make is deposits. Your profit with profit, oh God. My eyes just so bright, I take cover for shade. Don't have my money, take methods instead.
I said, nigga had me in the studio one night trying to do that shit. I'm like, man, cut this shit off. What the fuck am I in here doing, nigga? I don't rap like that.
So what the fuck you got me doing?
This shit is addictive. This shit'll get you.
Yeah. Falling. Mike Kill, what up? We're gonna raise you up though. Yo, you might mumble while rehearsing or under your breath cursing. I mumble when I see pants sagging with a person. You call it a bag for your iPad. I mumble some more. Humble smashing your drawers off concrete jungle floors. Y'all mumble with no teeth after we swing these rap bats. Might kill and Morning Star Operation Kill mumble rap. Red rum for the wax lack. Spitting mumble rap crap. Old school carry lock scalps in knapsacks. Mumblers murmur like mama's parade in blackface. Zombies hire codeine in a packed place. All mumbling in circles running. Tail chasing wannabe masons. All they do is confusing the generations. It's walking like Jason when we chase them. Through their dreams on Elm Street. Pop the hatch and deep space them. Morning Star, the soul of hell's heat. Got their boys chasing. Kill yourself ritual with the guns you waving. Y'all ain't scar facing G-Rap. You suck the flaming. After Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, no angels saving, just fallen angels. Mumble rappers undertaking. Mumble rappers, we just undertaking.
I'm acting like a nagger. You're about to get smoked out like fiends boiling booger to get coke out. Nagger, I don't wanna hear you talk. My lyrics are right on cue like blue chalk. You say black lives matter, meanwhile black music takes black lives faster than a white cop with a black gun getting hammered through the nagger. And nobody figures why you deliver it. You make you think that turns you to niggers and then turn right around and ask you to pick them honkies with triggers because you're naggers. I don't think you racist, man. If you're black, where is blackest? Stand on the map. Parlay on that, replace your culture with the color from a crayon pack. Stay on that. White people are right. Black lives don't matter and reasons why. Cause white people made them up, so the thesis was right. Don't blame Donald Trump, he is damn prop. Hand in ass, controlling him. Lamb chops, cats in hand. Muslims stand off, play along. Take the order back. Jews in football scream, get the quarterback. Eminem wanna be fully, but he not a quarterback. He just rap people's prayers till you're taking long naps like black people's hair. You just sing a lame nagger song and wear your pants so low you turn the gay niggers on. Wake up. This is to the government. Yukon, the territories, natives have none of it. Oh, fuck that shit, slavery hurts. Juju is a nigger cause slavery works. Young Ma is a nigger cause slavery's hers. Young Thug is a nigger, yup, slavery's first. Can't understand your slavery words. You can whip me in my ass, a messel. I put the gold inside my mouth, a messel. I made the hole inside the house, a messel. I breathe Jesus on my knees, a messel. Look at all the niggers slavery birthed. If I was an American nigger, I'd know I was cursed. I do not know where to begin. Niggers are always the worst. Jesus is the devil in the Catholic Church. By the Son, God's chosen people don't get burnt. We get learned. God's chosen people don't get turned. We get learned. God's over evil don't get turned. We get learned. That slave talk is a myth. Smart people talking say the whole word like this. Acting like a nagger, you're about to get smoked out. Like fiends boiling booger to get coke out. I don't wanna hear you talk.
Justice out of love, our truth is a lie. Mumble boys die choking on their Thanksgiving goose. Y'all kill Sean P and Guru like Kanai and Fubu. Woke up out the dream like who you? Good thing I do voodoo. Toward the frauds of hip hop, turn the locks and die in the purple. Congested of lean with your tight pants team of Urkels. No herbals, you're sent in top box with GMO herbals. Lashes from a switch you never heard of. Swag verses and your belly top outfits and Gaylord dress codes. Make me squeeze your neck till your head and eyes explode. 9/11 mumble Negroes got them running like Snowden. After towers fell, the dust is all fallen angels flowing. No lean with gunning, y'all niggas tripping. Voice of Westbrook, left hook, leave your nose like Pippin. Beads in your hair soon will be bubbles and ribbons. Poison mumble and rappers like Bell DeVoe and Biffin. Rep for Garvey and Drew without the way.
Say, Lil, you got a lot of talent, kid. You got a lot of talent. And I hope you have a good year. I hope somewhere you can find some heart and find some passion for the game and have a good year. I really wish you the best. Oh, I'm 40. Thank God I'm happy to see 40. Bum, I never been that. You know that. I'm from the old school, bro. I'm cut under the old law.
Backing like a nagger, you're about to get smoked out. Stop backing like a nagger, you're about to get smoked out. Like fiends boiling booger to get coke out.
This is a lot, Morris. What's good on a Monday? What's really good? What's really good on the moon day? We want to say peace and love to all the Moors. There's a lot more on deck.
It's love.
There's love.
Love to all the Moors in the chat.
Peace and love, Moors. So tomorrow we got something to do tomorrow. So we're going to give you the task today. Canaanland Moors, you know how we do. You just know how we do. So we're going to start today by just putting it on the record that, you know, we're dealing with getting the truth out because we're Moors. Because we're Moors, it's about getting the truth out.
Right.
You know, we don't play games with people anymore. 2018, gonna be 19. Time to stop playing games with people. Just stop it. But the BS carries on. You know what I mean? And again, we have this theme of people who are, we'll say, younger, taking advantage of elders who are really doing things out of the sincerity of whatever. But people have their little motives. People have their little agendas. People have their stuff that they want to promote or whatever. So they could be the number one whoever. And yeah, We have to meet people where they're at and all of that. But you still talking some slavery and some black BS? Still, right now, you have serious problems. Post-traumatic slave syndrome is real. Just look at the black guys and all the conscious whoever's. That's the post-traumatic slave syndrome right there. The post-traumatic slave syndrome isn't these people who are, you know, black on black crime and all that stuff like that. That's not, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. It's the people right around you who have to be incompetent, because Moors deal with facts and we deal with truth and we deal with right knowledge. We don't deal with could be's or maybes. You deal with what it is. And if for some strange reason one can't realize for themselves what this is about, then you people are going to have some serious problems. Because I'm not going to play that brotherhood BS with people who want to be under Negro Acts and black codes. I don't know them people. That's where you're at. I don't know you. Sorry, nothing personal, but I know better. Because, like I said, we're Moors. There's a lot more.
There's a lot more.
I don't know if you have a little intro before we start with the first one.
Right. To add on to the fact that you said about the post-traumatic slave syndrome, to add on to that, it looked like too a form of hypnosis, because and how they took on these, you know, words, and how words have energies and grammars, curses, and all of that, picking on these words and spells for so many years, with adding on the hypnosis. With the post-traumatic slave syndrome, they can't let go of the slave mentality or the slave story, myth.
Yeah.
If this is that's my reason why we're going through what we're going through, because of the 400 years of slavery. It just seems like they took on that curse, like they hold that underneath it, that hypnosis, the repetitiveness, the repetition. For years they've been doing this. For years.
Yeah, that's the stir in the cup for 20 years.
Right. Yeah. Right. And it's just been, it's the same story all the time. That's all they know. That's all they know. And it's repetition. It's a curse. It's a curse. And they take it on. Even when someone who's not under the curse or has broken the curse of being underneath it comes around and tries to take the person to snap them out of it, it's almost impossible. They under a curse. That's hypnosis. You can't shake somebody out of hypnosis like that.
Yeah. The secret snap.
Right. And remember, they even show you in the movie, some people are snapped out of their hypnosis. Yeah. And then when you come around them, they act like they still in it.
Yeah.
But they know.
Yeah, you see the double eyelids and stuff on a man. You know something.
Yep.
No, the vertical pupils.
Yep.
He knows.
I know you know. You snapped out of it, everybody, and then now somebody's coming. Now you want to look straight with the rest of the crowd. Yeah. You want to wear the all white, in the lavatory.
Yeah.
You woke in there, but now oh, okay, somebody's coming. I gotta act like I'm asleep with everybody else. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, yo, well, let's get the show on the road and start up.
With our youth when nobody else, no one else would go to those streets. He gave up his whole career. But a lot of people don't understand. When you're out here doing what we do, you don't make no money. You know what I'm saying? You broke. You don't make money because the system rejects what you're doing. Most of your people who have bought into the system rejects what you're doing. And the others who are ignorant or lost are afraid of what you're doing. And so you're out here trying to fight for people, and it's a very difficult process. Wow. And for those of us who survived it, I don't feel anything against those who couldn't do it, who didn't survive it. You understand? We're in a war.
Right.
In a war, there's victims. But Runoko and Dr. Jeffries have been on the front line for decades. And I've never seen them take a back step, no matter what. And that's why this is going to be an extraordinary day. So Brother Runoko have a pictorial album of blacks from all over the world.
Yeah, he does.
Dr. Leonard Jeffries is the African timeline. I mean, he can do history in 50-year increments going back a couple of thousand years, which is what he calls his turning points of history. So, and for me, my thing is to look at the politics, look at the culture, and look at the economics, but at the center of that, look at the spiritual system that guides all of that. Because we one of the richest black population in the world, spending over $1 trillion a year for the last 6 years, and we're still in trouble. Because we don't have the mentality to tell the Arab guy, I'm not going to shop in your store and let you get rich off of me while I live in poverty. Or to tell the Chinese lady and the cleaners, I'm not coming to your cleaners. I can pool my money out of my $1 trillion and open up black cleaners and hire the young black men and women in my community. Or telling the Korean woman, if I need my nails done, I got a bunch of young black girls that would like how to do nails. And we can send them to school and teach them and open a parlor for them. So then,
now, at this point, we wanna draw attention to the fact that everybody was identified by nationality except the black guys.
Right. Right.
Keep in mind, everybody was identified by nationality except the black guys. All the other nationals are in the quote unquote black communities making money off them. But it can't go the other way because blacks don't have a nationality. So anything black, these people aren't supporting that, not because they don't want to support you. They don't want to support you because you're calling it black. And they know that's international law violation. That's like property owning property. If property could own property, you got serious problems going on. Everybody being identified by nationality. What do Moors say? Moors say, hey, we're not Negro, black, colored. We're Moors. Because Moorish American, that's our nationality. In denial of everything. And this is not some slight or whatever, you know. Professor Smalls has his position. I built with him. He has his position. This is what it is. Not taking anything away from anybody he mentioned or whatever, and whatever work that they did. Taking anything away. They had their path that they had to walk, and they walked their path. That was for them to do. With being a place of constantly refining my thoughts there's times when certain things just have to get the pass. So don't look at this is some, oh, because he said something. No, this is what has been taught to our people, what he's talking about. This is their paradigm. We're just looking at from outside the paradigm saying, hold on a second, there's flaws in the thing. Right? The first flaw is everybody else that they talk about, they make sure to identify them by nationality. They don't call them yellow people and purple people, brown people, orange people. They don't call them that. They're going to mention all these other people by nationality and not mention their self by nationality. They're going to call their self an adjective and call other people a nationality. And not wonder what's the problem with us, with our people. What's the issue? That's the issue right there. One of them. There's going to be more as we carry on. But this is not about who's saying something or who uploaded the video or whatever. This is about this myth. These myths have been presented to our people. And we're showing you in your face, out of your own mouths, black guys, that you know what's up. So why are you playing around?
Yep.
Black guys, you know what's up. Because your master teacher just told you that everybody else has a nationality. So what the hell's wrong with you guys? We're Moors telling you about your Moors. That's your nationality. You want to debate us about nationality, but you're not going to debate the Chinese man he's talking about, or the Korean, or the Arab, or the whoever else that black people are spending their money with stupidly. You're not going to challenge them on why they say they are nationality, but you're going to challenge Moors saying about nationality. And don't expect the world to not look at you like a goddamn hypocrite and a sellout. Because these Chinese, these Koreans, these Arabs, these whoever, they know about Moors. Guarantee they know about Moors. They know about dark-skinned people wearing fezzes and turbans. They know about that. This is Mark. I'm getting mad right now.
Islam. You nailed it right on the head. Right on the head. And it's just like you said earlier. We're just Moors. You know, we're just correcting the black status. Like, that's the status. We're the Moors, we come in, we know we're not Negro colored black. We know that's one of the main issues that we're going through. And every time we hear it from one of someone from the so-called conscious community or whatnot, they're getting corrected because they already know. They sat with the head teachers and they all broke it down. The problem is nationality. It's nationality. But a lot of them, they still play the game. You know, they still go on their tours and stuff like that, playing the black game. They still go around getting invited on different platforms so they can promote the black game. Because as soon as you say the magic word, more, then nobody want to invite you nowhere no more.
Yep. Oh yeah, and peace. And speaking about invite people somewhere, peace to the brother Black Dot, because I heard that he gave us a little shout out on one of his podcasts a little while ago. Somebody told me they were listening to it and they heard him shout it out.
Yep,
you know,
I heard him. He did.
So just give him a shout out to the Moor. Everybody knows he playing. You had anything else with where we got to so far?
It's just the fact, because that's what our people do. We do spend trillions of notes on unnecessary things. But the fact that if we had a culture, like Black is not a culture. We don't have anything any principles to fall back on to make it look like, oh, that's wrong that I'm spending outside of my nation, because Black is not a nation. So you don't look at it as you're selling out anything because you don't have anything to sell out to. Black is not a nation. That's not a nation of people. So what are you going to other people, giving them your notes and whatnot? It doesn't click in your head that you're doing something wrong because you don't have a nationality, you don't have a culture, any principles to fall back on. Your background starts on a slave ship. That's your culture. That's all you know. That's all you know. That's why we do. That's a lot of the reasons why our people do what they do unconsciously, because they have no principles. They don't have a culture. They don't have a nationality. Nationality brings you to your culture. Then you find your principles. They're outside of principles. So that's why they're acting the way they're acting. They don't have a nationality. That's why I always say nationality is the order of the day. We already know that.
The order of the day. The order of the day. Why not just get on board? And again, I want to stress the point. I want to beat the piñata that everybody else that they talk about, they identify them by nationality, but never themselves. Don't you think that, like, doesn't that seem odd to you? That regardless of who you speak to in that community, when they talk about other people, they're going to identify them by nationality. But when they talk about them and the European, they play a color game. Not knowing that by playing the color game, you're sanctioning color of law against you. Which is why you're spending trillions on nothing, because you have no standards.
In our community, there's no unemployment. But you got to have the consciousness to do that. I'm almost hating the word consciousness, because people are using the word consciousness, but there ain't nothing conscious about them. But you have to have a mind based on being informed by your ancestors and being fortified by your history that will instruct you how to protect and project your interests. And that way other people don't come in your community and get richer for your community while you complaining about being poor when you're one of the richest people in the country. We're poor because of ignorance. We're poor because of lack of understanding. We're poor because of lack of knowledge. We're poor because of lack of knowledge of our specific history. We're poor because we haven't developed our self-value, self-worth, and self-esteem based on our ancestors' experiences. And when we can get rid of that poverty, we can use our wealth in our best interests. So people need to come out and see. Brother Ranoko will tell that story from one perspective. On the 11th, Dr. Jeffries will tell it from another perspective. I will do it from another perspective. I think, Brother Rich, you also on the program as well?
I might be asking some questions that day. I got to double check with King Simon.
And I know we have a couple of dance groups.
Yeah, but performances artists, Cam Bada, as well as Red Pill and Blue Pill. Right. And we have a sister, Yendi's Nefer Atum, I believe her name is. She's going to be there as well. And just so the people who have, it will also be live streamed. Right. So the people who go to usalivestream.com if they can't make it to New York that day. The address, if you are in New York, is 182 Remsen Street, and that's in Brooklyn, New York. The youth are free, 0 to 17 years. King Simon, that's a huge bonus for the community. And the thing about this event is if you buy one ticket, you get to bring a guest for free. That's something new.
So that's
so yeah, there should be.
That takes away a lot of excuses for why my wife didn't come, why my husband didn't come, why my boyfriend, girlfriend.
A lot of excuses, man. A lot of excuses. So for info or to RSVP, you could text or call 347-496-1022. Once again, for info, call 347-496-1022. Doors are going to open up at 1 that day, and the event will start at 2. That is Sunday, November 11th. Can't wait, my brother.
Yes, sir. So we're all looking forward to that. That's going to be a very important historical experience. It's not just going to be an outing. It's going to be a university session. It's going to be a learning session. Bring your pencil, bring your pad, or bring your iPhone or your Samsung so you can record. This is going to be a special event, and it's going to be a powerful one.
So let's start the program, my brother.
Yes, sir, brother.
Get right to it. I'm very curious about your opinion about something. You come from a different generation than I come from. The generation you come from, there's been some figures on television that were what people would say were pro-black at the time. And we fast forward to 2018 and things change. I sat and I watched the brief clip with Kanye at the White House, and I'm looking at Jim Brown, and I'm like, damn, I heard all these stories about Jim Brown when I was young. And I used to always hear about the brother and the great works that the brother did. And to see him sit there with Trump, meet Trump continuously, smiling, I'm like, I got to get an elder's perspective on that.
Right.
Another thing is the whole Bill Cosby thing. To see what happened with Bill Cosby, somebody from your generation, knowing what went down, I mean, knowing how he started, and, you know, Dick Gregory and all these comedians that came up around that time. And we fast forward to 2018. Let's start out with the Jim Brown situation. You disappointed in my brother, or you understand?
Jim Brown, one of the greatest black men that ever lived. I don't think he could do anything to make me disappointed in him. The work he did out in the streets with the gangs in California, the work he did with our youth when nobody else, no one else would go to those streets. He gave up his whole career to get out there and work with our young men and our young women. And he was very successful. Trump is the president of the United States. Hillary is not the president. She can't give us nothing. Bernie is not the president. He can't give us nothing. There's only one man as president of the United States, is Donald Trump. And guess who else is sitting at the table? The Asian communities at the table, Chinese, the Latino communities at the table, the Jewish communities at the table, the Irish communities at the table, the Italian community at the table. The only person who doesn't have their leadership at the table is the black community.
Now, do you see why the world does not respect our people? Do you see how easy it is for the world to just use us as whatever they use us for?
Wow.
On a mass scale? Because he's displaying the same stuff that we know we have to fix. Our lack of really knowing who we are. If we are going to call ourselves a black community, we're done for. We're done for already as black communities. You really don't think that's a spell, like Moore was saying earlier? This repetitious programming, creating a state of hypnosis where you're not even thinking before you act. Not even thinking. As soon as it's obvious to others that the only reason we're slaves is because we volunteer for that, named everybody else who was at the table by nationality. Didn't miss a beat with it. Identified everybody by nationality. Identified everybody by nation. But then when it came turn for us, Crayola didn't identify us, and then take the position that that's a legitimate position.
Yes.
Even though you already disqualified yourself by showing that everybody else has a nationality. Now the whole nation disqualified because they call themselves black. You want to know how come Moors have a hard time being Moors? Because there's so many Negroes still. That's why. The weight is on the side of the colonizer. By us falling for the colonial trick. Be something you're not. That's all you have to do. Just be something you're not. Be something that you are not. Like, how is it? Really digest it. Again, this is not just him. This is across the board. When they speak about other people, they identify them by nationality. You want just to sink in how the spirit works to make the point be proven. The spirit steps in if you don't want to accept the fact. And when spirit steps in, you better accept it at that point. Now, how many so-called know thyself black people who rep him would sit back and actually say, hold on a second. The Moors are the only ones that I ever hear talk about nationality. And the professor just put it on the record that everybody has a nationality except us. Maybe that's why we're in the situation that we're in. Again, it goes back to these slave labels that Noble Drew Ali told the Moors. Watch out for those things. You are not those things. You are not that. You cannot be that. You have a nationality. We are supposed to be a nation according to everybody who came from the past. We are a nation. There's no black nation. There's no black community. There's no black anything. Right? The white, oh yeah, deal with the white supremacy. No, the enemy.
Nah, the document I have found about white supremacy. Nah, it's on the laptop. I'm gonna have to pull it up. I didn't pull it up. I'm sorry. I didn't know we was gonna open it, Green Sheet. I should have had it. But there's a document.
Oh,
I just did the research. It was.
Is it further on in this thing to play this some more? Before that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Hold on.
yeah.
Okay.
That makes no sense, because you until we, and I think in another 2 more years, that's who's the president. If you're going to get anything coming back to your community, that's who you have to deal with. That's political sense. As if we think that another white man or woman would have been less racist because he behaved a little differently, we would then justify go sitting with a racist like a Bill Clinton, who was responsible for bringing the coke into the country that led to the crack epidemic, and then went in office largely by our votes helping, and came up with 3 strikes and you're out against the same youngsters who he helped bring the coke in to create the crack. People say, how you saying Bill Clinton do that? You remember Oliver North, who went to jail, the colonel, and the General Secord? Where did they land those coke planes? At the Arkansas National Guard base. Who was the governor of Arkansas that could give that kind of permission? Billy Boy Clinton. We ain't even gonna get into what he did down in Haiti. You know what I'm saying? So what we have is the president of the United States is a man named Donald Trump. Whether he's crazy, sick, racist, stupid, or backwards, guess what he is? The president of the United States. And if you want to address issues that only the president can address, then that's who you're going to have to deal with. Now, if you want to sit aside for 4 years, all the other ethnic groups in the nation, the Asian, the Latinos, the Irish, the Italian, they're all sitting at that table in Washington, no matter who's there. They sat there when Barack Obama was there. They didn't say he's too black for us. They went to serve their people's interests. Our Black Caucus is not doing that. And that's a shame. I can't.
And they're not doing it because they're black.
Black what?
Black Caucus.
What do you say? That's a new one. I never heard of that one. Great sheet.
Yeah, like, you know, the black representatives who should be in the place of Kanye.
Yep.
But that's the issue. You can't be black and be at the table.
Nope.
Because it's not ethnic groups. Turk is not an ethnic group. That's a nation of people.
How about this one, Green Sheet? Last one to sit at the table to represent us was the prophet.
Even if you say that. He wasn't black.
Right. Well, you know, I met the Moorish. I didn't mean that. I met the Moorish. So there was never, because, you know, there was never no one. It doesn't exist.
Because if with him sitting at the table, he sat at the table for people who identify themselves as Moors. He didn't sit at the table for Negroes to say Noble Drew Ali. Yeah, Noble Drew Ali, honest Noble Drew Ali, but they're Negro. That's why you can't rate those honors. Because if you honored Noble Drew Ali, you wouldn't be Negro, black, or colored. You would at least know you're a Moor for yourself. Even if you don't put it out there like that or whatever, you would know. You know what, I'm a Moor.
Justify Kanye. You know, maybe some of us need to call him in and sit him down. He may be just I don't even want to deal with it. He's a young brother who needs a lot of work. But as far as Jimmy Brown is concerned, I know Jimmy Brown's work speaks for itself. And you don't find anything in his history. You know, he's an old man now, but he's still doing the same thing, trying to get laws passed, trying to influence legislation, trying to get resources sent to the poor communities and the youth he works with. And I don't think any of that has changed.
Now, when you say again about dealing with the so-called corpse, right? Brother Digit in Montreal used his status with the corpse, got whatever it is that he was supposed to get. The Moors near Virginia, Brother Kenneth L. And the Moors with going to the schools. And the schools letting them go there. And them doing that on such a high humanitarian level that the corpse even acknowledged them. Based on their works. And everything that they deal with is Moorish. You don't have to pretend to be black guys to get something from them. Don't pretend to be black guys to, you know, like these Moors are meeting with high level, so-called de facto, letting them know that, hey, there's people out here called Moorish Americans that are really about how this is supposed to be. Not the people that you guys have in your FBI papers and stuff like that. You know, and they're doing that on behalf of Moors. So don't talk about they're trying to get some black guys to be at the table when there's already Moors at the table. There's already Moors at the table.
Wow. Wow.
Putting things on the record, setting it straight for Moors, not for themselves because they're some Moorish science temple and they're under some charter of whatever. What they're doing is for Moors. Because we know that we're a nation. Why would I have a meeting with whatever and it would be for me if I'm saying I'm El or Bay?
Right.
If you say you're El or Bay, then that means you're part of a nation. Or you say Smith, Johnson, Jeffries. Oh, okay. Or the black community and, oh yeah, oh, you want to sit at the table with the, okay, yes. Yeah, just talk to the secretary and we'll get back to you. And then they're racist. You're mad and they're racist because they didn't let you whatever. And it's not like they have anything to offer. They're in debt to China or whatever. What they got? What they got? What you sitting at their table?
Here we go. De facto closed, abandoned building.
U.S.
It's not even open.
Bankrupt, dissolved, insolvent. There's a president. There's a president of it. Oh, and again, going back to Brother Yusuf's upload about They're denouncing the U.S. citizenship. That you have these quote unquote blacks, right? That are going with this idea of, well, at least whatever, have somebody at the table of whatever, because they're the government of whatever. Now, they're a bankrupt, dissolved, insolvent corporation, boarded up windows or whatever. And people are taking that as they're open.
Right.
And they're lining up around the building waiting for them to open.
Europeans running to give up their United citizenship. Running. Please check that video out. So-called white people / Europeans giving up their United States citizenship. Check that video out.
Running to give it up.
There's plenty of them out there, though. There's tons of videos. They're not even hiding it anymore. Yeah. They're running to give it up. But they want you to sit at the table. You want to sit at the table where people with a de facto quote unquote government that its citizens are denouncing now. Don't want no part of it.
No part of it.
But so-called blacks still crying because they can't sit at the table. Like, what? What are you talking about? Anybody else trying to get away from the table?
Trying to get away from the table. Right. That's it. Well, then why the Moorish sitting at the table with the whatever? Because this is our land. So we have a right to contract with whoever and talk to whoever. We're not the ones that said we came over here on slave ships or whatever.
Right.
So certain stuff isn't even in our dial plate. We're strictly dealing with this is our land.
Right. Or you could use Brother Abdullah's book and look at it that way. That whole thing is ours.
Yep.
In the first place.
The whole thing is ours.
Now I found that white supremacy document.
Oh yeah.
Quote unquote. Now it's on pbs.org. pbs.org. It's race-based legislation in the North, 1807 through 1850. It says the concepts of quote-unquote black and quote-unquote white did not arrive with the first Europeans and Africans, but grew on American soil. During Andrew Jackson's administration, racist ideas took on a new meaning. Jackson brought in the new age of the common man. Under his administration, working class people gained rights they had not before possessed, particularly the right to vote. But the only people who benefit were quote unquote white men. Quote unquote blacks, Indians, and women were not included. Now it says here, before 1800, free quote unquote free African American men had nominal rights of citizenship. In some places, they could vote, serve on juries, and work in skilled trades. Now, this is before the 1800s. So, the so-called white supremacy thing is a modern concept. That's new. And it continues on saying that to serve on juries and skilled trades, but as the need to justify slave grew stronger and racism started solidifying, free blacks gradually lost the rights that they did have. Through intimidation, changing laws, and mob violence, whites claimed racial supremacy and increasingly denied blacks the citizenship. And in 1857, the Dred Scott decision formally declared that blacks were not citizens of the United States. That's PBS.org. So the concept of black and white did not arrive with the first Europeans and Africans, but grew on American soil. That's a modern concept. So when he was like, when he was saying your ancestors and you want to take on the things of your ancestors back 50,000 years ago and see what their economics was like, well, the black and white concept didn't start till Andrew Jackson. So if you go past it 50,000 years, you're talking about Moorish. Because the black and white concept did not arrive with the first Europeans. It came during Andrew Jackson's administration. That's PBS.org. So that black and white game is new.
Then this one too. PBS, along with Smithsonian.com. Smithsonian came out. The horrible fate of John Kaser, the first black man to be declared slave for life in America. Check this part. Black people in early America weren't slaves. Black people in early America weren't slaves. You can go read the article yourself, and you come to a conclusion.
So how did that do to 400 years?
Like the other
how do we do that?
Yep.
That's the other thing, big time. Slavery started, quote unquote, slavery started in Jamestown, Virginia in 1619. Well, the 400 years will end next year, 2019. So I don't know what 400 years of slavery
they've been talking about. Because everybody knows that it's 1619. So if we're going with that, if we're gonna go with that this whole slave thing did happen and all that stuff, 1619 is the reference point.
Yeah. And we're not even adding in the Moors, how we enslaved Europeans by the millions. We're not even saying that yet. We just still want to know how the 400 years was from 1619. It started 1619. It'll be 2019 next year. So that'll be the 400 years. And if you do the Lincoln freed the slaves thing in 1867, one of them 18. That's still not. That's 200 and something, 100 and something years. That's not even 400. If you did that, since they like to talk about the Emancipation Proclamation.
Remember, all of this started happening after the fall.
Yep.
After the birthright was stolen from the Moors, and these people realized what the Moorish birthright was, they went on world conquests. I keep putting it on the record. Those Moors that you see with them, look at some of them as prisoners as well. And go read every book you can on the Spanish Inquisition to see how they dealt with Moors.
Yep.
Who didn't want to give up certain information. Yeah.
The Moriscos helped too. The Moriscos was helping.
Yeah.
Just like they do today.
Yep. And again, this thing about it's all right to think that the United States and Canada and government and have this concept. You know, their own records show what they are. That you don't have to play the game the way that you say, just turn everything inward. Because guaranteed, for example, there's people who do for self and it's good. They're doing very well for themselves. You know. But there's a lot that struggle. And when we look at other nations, they always back each other. They always support their own. Their own, whatever it is, they're going there first before they go anywhere. And the Moors who have the mindset of knowing that they are a nation, they've been a nation, and this is not some new stuff just came about yesterday because you just found out about Noble Ali. So you think this is some new thing. No, this has been around. This is not some new stuff. This stuff been around 50,000 years. This is not some yesterday organization just came up. We've done a disservice to the ancestors by playing these games with our people. For what? I don't know, really. I still don't get it. It really doesn't make sense to me because I know that majority of these people that call themselves scholars, they know what's up. It's not like they don't know what's up. You know. Like it's mind-boggling. Because you even have, Dr. Ben told them that they're Moors, spelled it out for them and everything. Spelled it out. So you know.
Yes, yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
That's their man.
Yeah, that's their master teacher.
That's their master Mason teacher. That's their Moorish doctorate teacher. Still in denial that we're Moors? You can't still be in denial. No way. No way. It's impossible. It's impossible to still be in denial. No. Yes, we know that some people were brought here on some ships. There was no hundreds, nothing. There was probably 10 people or whatever. 10 people per ship. No hundreds of people in the belly of a ship going across the Atlantic Ocean. Are you nuts?
And I still got to know how, when the Moors are running the seas at this time. I still want to, even if they did, how? Moors, I just want to know how. How did you could have did it? I'm not saying they did.
You have proof of that, because people think you thought crazy that Moors were running something where people couldn't put their boats in the water and stuff like that. I'm about to look.
I got the Luella J. Hall.
Oh yeah, give him the Luella joint. Yeah, give him something from Luella.
Okay, hold on. Okay, here we go. All right. During the early Middle Ages, the period of many invasions. Hold on. This is the United States and Morocco, 1776, 1956, Luella J. Hall. This is chapter 2, the problem of piracy. It says, during the early Middle Ages, the period of many invasions, migrations and wars all around the perimeters of the Mediterranean, many champions of both cross and crescent became pirates and preyed upon each other's ships and shores. The enslavement of captives was practiced by both parties in the Holy War, and galley slaves furnished the motive power for many vessels of all types. Reports of atrocities suffered by Christian slaves in Barbary arose great sympathy for them in Europe. And in 1199, the Order of the Holy Trinity and Redemption of Captives was founded in Paris. Its members, known as Marthronians, devoted their lives to ransoming captives and ameliorating their condition while in prison. They formed an Order of the Holy Trinity and Redemption of Captives. You can look them up. I looked them up. They exist. They formed an order together to pay the ransom off to the Moors. In the later medieval period, they developed an extensive exchange of goods protected by commercial treaties between the Barbary rulers in the great trading cities of Southern Europe. Christian shipping lay in every African port from Tripoli to Agadir, discharging hardware, cloth, Venetian beads, and other manufacturing goods, loading slaves, eunuchs, gold, ivory, ebony, ostrich feathers, and skins. Many Europeans adventured into the Maghreb, either as commercial agents, civilian employees, or mercenaries in every Muslim army. Even John Smith was a mercenary in the Muslim armies.
Zamor, could you quote the book title again and author? More they're asking.
The United States and Morocco, 1776, 1956. Luella J. Hall. Luella J. Hall. Luella J. Hall. I got the book a couple years back for 30 notes. Last time I looked it up, it was over 1,000 notes for the book now.
Ouch. That was a kick to the ribs right there.
Yep.
That was a kick to the ribs right there. 1,000 notes now?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Y'all want to know? They see y'all Moorish reading? They see us reading now? But there you go. I mean, she goes in tons of stuff. Whatever. She has a whole breakdown of who specifically were the Moors. She tell you it was the Negroids were the Moors, and she tells which dynasties were the Negroids, quote unquote, the Moors. The Idrisid dynasty, the Amarid dynasty, the Amaha dynasty, the Marinid dynasty, the Sadan dynasty, the Aluti dynasty. Those are all Negroid dynasties. She wrote that. That wasn't no hell Arab. I know we're going off.
Yeah, nah, you're right on. You're right on track, yo. Because might as well go there.
And that's the other thing too. Because look, I'm gonna read this. You can go in on this too. The first official communication of the United States government to the ruler of Morocco reads as follows. The Congress of the 13 United States of North America, to the high, potent, and most noble prince, the king and emperor of Morocco. That was just a, dear you. You know how they do like, dear such and such? Look, they called him the noble prince, the king and emperor of Morocco.
The king and
the high potentate. Most noble and pursuant prince, we, the Congress of the United States of North America, have been informed of your Majesty's favorable regard to the interests of the people we represent, which has been communicated by Monsieur Etienne de Adalbert Calais of Salé, Council of Foreign Nations unrepresented in your Majesty's states. We assure you of our earnest desire to cultivate a sincere and firm peace and friendship with your Majesty and to make it lasting to all posterity. Should any of the subjects of your states come within the ports of your Majesty's territories, we flatter ourselves they will receive the benefit of your protection and benevolence. You may assure yourself of every protection and assistance to your subjects from the people of these states whenever and wherever they may have it in their power. We pray your Majesty may enjoy long life and uninterrupted prosperity. That's another thing when I be saying the Moors, we recognize them. And that goes back to the slave question. This is when if they write in us, most noble prince, the king and emperor of Morocco, when do you have the slave? When's the slave ships coming?
Yeah, the Negroid. If those were the Negroids, who were the princes or whatever.
Because she tells you this is y'all dynasties. They was talking to y'all, but then they say the slave ships. Like, okay, that's where obviously that's war. That's a prisoners of war. We went to war. We went to war, and a couple of captives got caught. Here, Morocco's here. I mean, I can keep going in, Grand. She wrote.
Yo, put some more out there, because that one is the crazy one, because I'm not paying 1,000 notes, so you might as well bless me a bit.
Right, okay. At Tangier, okay, look, this is the remember I was talking to you about the Civil War, Morocco involvement in the Civil War? And they chose to side with the Confederacy. The emperor. But my thing was, I was fascinated by the fact that she talks about the Moorish police. Like it's literally written in here as Moorish police. It says at Tangier, they were arrested by DeLong, aided by the Moorish police. Later, the Moroccan minister asked their release, but DeLong refused to consider them political prisoners. To DeLong's inquiry, this is when, I guess, like, whose side you were going to choose. He asks him, shall 76 years of uninterrupted friendship between your government and the United States be brought to an end for the sake of pirates? The Moroccan minister could only give assurance of continued cooperation. See, so it was a lot. It was a lot going on, and we still do it today. Like I was saying, like it was still Moorish still choosing with the other side. It was Morisco still going with the other side.
Yeah. They had to have those weak links. They had to have those weak links.
Yep, and we still got them today. They just go under the guise of selling you out as just saying black. Mm-hmm. Now you don't have to put the sword to anybody. You can just kill them with words. Right. You just keep them subject and docile, and you keep them killing themselves. It's easier. It's less. It's less headache.
It's less
you ain't gotta. You ain't gotta do anything to anybody.
You don't gotta hide the body.
Nope.
Don't gotta put the bodies in the burgers and stuff like that.
Yep.
No.
Yep. Here goes another one, right? This is when I was going crazy because he was saying he was born in Africa, Tangier, but he was an American citizen. Look, in the letter accepting his reappointment, Matthews made a singular statement, quote, I was born in Africa at Tangier, Morocco, as an American citizen. And it's underlined and it says author's italics right next to it. He gave these biographical details. In my boyhood, I resided at Brooklyn, New York. How you do that and you was born in Africa? And in the state of California since 1855, accepting the period of the Civil War and from 1869 to 1887, the later period of 18 years, I resided at Tangier, holding the post of United States Consul. Now, if you can Google when did Tangier become a country, it ain't gonna go past around that 1956 thing again. It go right to that again. But for some reason, Tangier, Virginia, been there since the 1600s. Then when you go do the timeline of, because now Tangier is going underneath water, or the water's rising. But if you go back a couple hundred years ago, Tangier, because it's an island off of quote unquote Virginia. But when the water, before it rised, it was connected mostly to Virginia. That's why I posted the video and showing you Tangier, Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, not that one. Nope, that's not the video. That's another one. though. Tangier is in Virginia, but that was the Algiers, New Orleans. That's another one. Algiers, New Orleans. But yeah, Tangier was here in the 1600s. So that's why holding the post in the United States Consul in Tangier. But that Tangier didn't exist over there till around 1950 something. But the Tangier over here was here since the 1600s, and they don't know how that name came about.
They don't know how the name came about?
They don't know how the name came about. Captain John Smith, if we go with him again, he tried to name the islands something else, something after one of the doctors that was in his ship. He tried to name it after him, but it didn't stick. Tangier kept sticking.
Yeah.
So even when he came to try to change it, it still didn't change. It was already Tangier.
That's real. She really went hard, huh?
United States. I don't see how United States didn't even have an army. They didn't even have an army, no military, no none of that, until they decided they wasn't going to pay no more real money, or money rather, to the Moors. And they said we was going to start our own Navy army. So only reason why they started their own Navy and army was because they didn't want to pay no more to the Moors.
Yeah.
So how could you, if you're still paying to the, how, that's the thing. When do you have time to, you don't even have a Navy, but you can do slavery?
Yeah.
You can go, you don't have a army, nothing. But you go into a whole other place to get quote unquote Negroes and bringing them over here. But you don't have nothing.
Zero.
You didn't have nothing until you started. It was like, okay, we're not paying the Moors no more. That's documented. That didn't happen to the 18th century. But they talking about slavery started in 1619. How? They just got a Navy.
Yeah. That's an interesting one. That's a real
They just started getting ships and stuff. They just started doing that. They didn't have no Navy or nothing like that.
Because even if you give or take a few years, you still come to the same conclusion. That there's no way that they could have had slavery going on to such an extent, but they don't have any Navy, they don't have anything. So he was just going that strong, but they have nothing. Something's wrong with that picture. Yeah, that's the truth.
And they paid for that Navy. They paid big time for that Navy. Big time.
And there's a lot of references. Just do your research on the Barbary powers.
I think that's why they start their history on the slave ship.
Yep. You know, you're talking about slave ships when really you were the one who was the captain of the ship.
Right.
You weren't in the belly of whatever. You were the man with the ship, black guy. You weren't the one in the belly of the ship.
You're the Moor who moored the ship. You're the Moor who moored it.
You got any other timestamps in this one? Was there more?
No, not that one. Nope.
Who's next? The interview now?
Which? Yeah.
I'm just going to the email to get the 4 minute mark. Four-minute mark coming up.
It has nothing to do with your skin complexion. In reality, we're not black people. So if we're not black people, what is our identity? What is our nationality? Our nationality is Moorish American. When we say we are Moorish Americans, we are being taught that we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. If you understand anything about empires, and the example that I always give, especially for the layman, those who may be into boxing. If you're familiar with the boxer Joe Calzaghe, whenever Joe Calzaghe entered the ring, he would carry the British flag and also the flag of Wales. Why? Because of the dominion and rulership of the British Empire that it basically had over various territories. So the same thing with the Moroccan Empire. Any nation or country that was under the jurisdiction of the Moroccan Empire, guess what? You can be a Mandinka, but at the same time, you are a Moor. And when you study the history of our people, especially during slavery, we descend from particular nations and countries that were under the dominions of the Moroccan Empire. These are facts. These are facts. So when we talk about who are we Moors, the term Moor, it actually implies original man. We can demonstrate Moor in many of the ancient languages. We can demonstrate it in...
Yeah, boy.
Yep. See? Even when Moors tell how when they try to tell how the Moors are here, they still try to use the slave story. Tie us right back to the slavery. The slaves in Africa were Muslim, so when they got here, they still were the descendants of those slaves that came as no. And then try to refer it as the Morocco over there. That's the Morocco that's the Moroccan Empire over there. That's not the empire over there. This the empire right here. This Morocco. Right here. Right here. So when they try to do that's what our history don't start on a slave ship. Slaves come from Slavic. That's German. My son put that in his homework. He knows that. That has nothing to do with us.
Now, what other, what like the whole slavery having nothing to do with us? What personal reference points? Again, for those who don't know.
Okay. Personally, like I'm pretty sure a lot of other Moors have done. I've done the research. I've always known, and growing up, it wasn't like really hard for me to go deep in the research. I just had to think. What my elders taught me, my nana told me, my grandmother told me. I never heard no slave stories. I still can go back to them. We can go back to James Bay. We can go back to this. I still can go back to the land to this day. We own horses, all types of land, all of that. There's no slavery in my family, in my custom blend. There was no slavery going on at all. If anything, and then another thing, another personal experience I haven't shared with my sister's husband. Now you can Google it. Now I'm not sure about the last part of the title. It's the Thwaites family from Antigua. The Thwaites family in Antigua. Now this is my sister's husband. They owned Irish slaves. They have books and documents of the Thwaites family who they were the teachers of the islands. Actually, when you can go do the research, Antigua, Thwaites family, and they'll tell you everything, how they owned Irish slaves and how they were teachers. This is my sister's husband, a Moor. And everybody at his job, especially the people from the East, they go up to him and start speaking Arabic because they think he's one of them. But he's a dark brother. They just think he's still one of them for some reason. He's not pale or nothing. He's dark.
Yeah.
He's dark skinned. Doesn't wear his fez or anything. And they come up straight to him and just start talking in Arabic to him because they think he's one of them. Which he is,
Yeah, right.
You know?
On that level, yeah. Exactly.
But please, yep. And that's another slaves, man, that's crazy. That's just crazy.
But remember that they have to bring the slavery in so they can bring the 13th Amendment in. because they have to be able to, you know, connect to it somehow to justify, even though Juali said, you know, this is not to be compared to any back to Africa, whatever. Back to where? You know, I mean, Moors, you're from Missouri. You know, one more has to be relayed. You know, for the point.
Oh, so you're not from Mali. You're not from the Mandinka tribe or whatnot. You're from Missouri, quote unquote. Because then when you go, you can get the book Ancient Lost Colonies of America from Joseph. I forgot the European's title. Something. I think his last name is Joseph. He explains what Missouri means. I forgot. It's something Egyptian.
Yeah, Frank Joseph?
Say that again?
Frank Joseph? Not Frank
Yeah,
Joseph.
Frank Joseph.
Frank Joseph, yeah.
Frank Joseph, yep. He breaks that all the way down.
Yeah.
He breaks that all the way down. And then as soon as you read it, first thing you think of, dang, Noble Drew Ali is always 30 steps ahead of the game.
Yeah. And it's amazing how ahead of the game he was at for us to be where we're at, being able to, you know, decipher his work in real time. You know, break it down, put it back together, and actually exercise with it on the scale of, you know, really knowing who we are as Moors. You know, being the undeniable fact. Not just talking about it, because we got pictures of this man, and we got holy book, and we got fezzes, and we could put on costume, you know, to look the part. The true mastery is man really realizing for self how close he is to the Creator. And that when that realization happens, man now becomes the Creator. When the Creator and man are one, are unified, and all of us being in that place of this is your nationality and birthrights. This is your nationality and birthrights. You cannot be a republic as a Moor. If you're a Moor, that's a republic. There's some of your own turbans and feathers game going on with you. Because you're Aboriginal and indigenous to the Americas. You're not some ipso jure. This is your vast estate. And you don't need some paper that Noble Drew Ali got from some Pan-American conference to be a Moor. You just need to study your ancient foremothers and forefathers. Then once you study them, you would know what direction you're supposed to go in. And don't think any of this is about some earth plane, whatever. And for the people who are talking about Moors are Pan-African Muslims, we'll just put this out there for you. The Moor Science Temple of America was founded by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Aside from the fact that it is a legally organized religious corporation, it is building on human needs. To this desirable end, in time, legitimate means will be found to dispense charity and provide for the mutual assistance of its members in times of distress, to aid in the improvement of health and to encourage the ownership of better homes, to find employment for our members, to teach those fundamental principles which are desired for our civilization, such as obedience to law, respect and loyalty to government, tolerance and unity. It is most earnestly hoped that the Moorish Science Temple of America will not in any way be confused with any Back to Africa movement. Such is not important insofar as American citizens of our group colonizing Africa are concerned. There you go. It is most earnestly hoped that the Moorish Science Temple of America will not in any way be confused with any Back to Africa movement. Islam, more, you have anything before we close out?
Islam. I was trying to find this document. I didn't see it yet. I'm gonna find it in a second.
Yeah, let me check now. Let me see if anybody was brave and sent anything in the email.
I got it right here, Great Sheep. It was just something real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. In the Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, page 3, by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. The industrious acts of the Muslims northwest and southwest Africa. These are the Moabites, Hamitites, Canaanites, who were driven out of the land of Canaan by Joshua and received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in that portion of Egypt. In later years, they formed themselves kingdoms. These kingdoms are called, this day, Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc. Now, I don't see United States in there. Because Taharka kept talking about United States citizen.
Yeah.
But this the prophet right here. This one is circle 7. Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli.
Yeah.
Not no United States.
Islam.
I told you right there. That's by the prophet. Say it right there. By the prophet, Noble Jew Ali. Say it right there.
Islam. Well, Islam to all the Moors. Peace and love to everybody. Give thanks, Brother Yusuf, for jumping on. You already know how it goes. And like we said, nothing tomorrow. Don't forget MHHS Eyes Wide Open, Blog Talk Radio, tomorrow night, 9:30 Eastern Time. Peace and love to all Moors. You have any shout outs, Brother Yusuf?
Yeah, it's Islam to the Moors in the chat, and Islam to the Prophet. Give thanks to the Prophet.
Supreme thanks to the Prophet. Islam, Moors.
Give thanks to you too, Great Sheep, for opening up your platform.
You already know how we do. Any chance we get, to put something out there.
But for real, Great Sheep, there's not a lot of platforms out there that's gonna, open up so the people can really know the truth, like, and they don't have to pick it through it, and dissect what are they really saying.
Yeah.
Nope, it's just this is just the truth. It's just the truth. Like Black Dot said, the Moors just give you it. They don't even hide nothing. Exactly.
Just the way we like it.
And I give thanks for you for that.
Yeah, man. Islam Moors. Peace to the 60 viewers, and how much ever amount else are gonna view this. Peace and love, and we'll build again soon. Islam.